The Moon Woke Up is an online cosmic horror comedy video produced by the creator Mr. Friend, in which, as the namesake implies, the moon and other celestial bodies suddenly gain consciousness and begin acting like individual entities in the cosmos. This video is going to go over the entire series that's available on YouTube to date, and then we're going to talk about it. So, spoilers for The Moon Wakes Up, no shit. In the first installment, we follow two astronauts on a space station orbiting Earth. One looks out at the moon for a moment. Suddenly, the craters of the moon move towards a center locus and form two eyes and a snaggletooth smiling mouth. It does a cool little flip before heading straight towards Earth. The station begins to destabilize, likely because of the gravitational forces of the entire fucking moon being applied to it. And then it explosively decompresses, sending the astronauts off into space. We get a video feed from another satellite showing the moon crashing directly into Earth. The camera then pans around and shows that the moon isn't the only celestial body that's waking up. Episode 2 starts in New York City on June 20th, 1969, the date of the first real moon landing, and 1 month before the moon woke up. Coincidence? Mr. Friend is preaching the word of whatever the hell is going on a soapbox to his followers. He says that the awakened ones will soon be here, which probably means the planets. We cut to a British family in their home, and the father comes downstairs, telling his son Michael that it's time to go, who doesn't seem to care in his slightest. He gets his keys and my god, it must have been fun to make Michael with her. Anyways, Michael's on the floor drawing what would be a therapist's down payment on a house in a regular family, but the dad doesn't seem concerned. And then he turns his child around to show the camera that he now has a moon face that looks like a jack-o'-lantern carving. Cut to the Himba tribe in Namibia, who seem pretty jazzed about the whole moon waking up thing. The moon then finally wakes up to its fans' demands, takes a big old bite out of the Earth, destroying all of Sicily in the process. 5 years later, the Earth is in wreckage, and 90% of its population has been wiped out. The major oceans have all but dried up, and our hungry-looking celestial neighbors are approaching rapidly. We end on one of Michael's drawings that definitely isn't foreshadowing, so you guys shouldn't worry about it. Episode 3 begins with the moon landing. Well, not the first one, but the first one since the moon landed on Earth. I bet now that it's so close, it's easier to land on. It's been 10 years since the moon woke up. What's left of humanity is trying to rebuild what they can, even with the giant gaping maws of Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus ominously widening in the distance. Despite being within chomping distance, these planets just seem to watch. In response to the apocalypse, the Frontline Research Initiative for Earth's New Defense, or FRIEND Industries, has been established by the remaining world powers on the outer rim of what has been dubbed the Umbra Zone, a 2,800-meter radius surrounding the lunar impact. Humans basically got all their eggs in the friend basket when it comes to the whole surviving as a species thing. By basically, I mean literally. All of the planet's resources, including probably eggs, are in the friend basket. Despite the fact that most of the people on the planet are starving and can't even get clean water. The man who we've taken the perspective of at this point then eats a rat that itself was eating what we will come to call moon juice, and looks back up at Jupiter. We then take the perspective of a probe sent to investigate the other living planets. They're about to fire something that they're non-specific about before Jupiter vomits up its moon Callisto to destroy one of the probes, and its moon Titan to destroy another. All of the probes have been destroyed, which proves how effective swallowing rocks to vomit them up later at your adversaries can be. Back to Earth in the perspective of two friend soldiers, and the rat eater from earlier looks like he's got a lot more to smile about as he jumps the bones of one of the guards. Cut from there to an establishing shot of the entire Earth so we don't forget where we are, and a man in what sounds like from the respirator a hazmat suit approaches the Umbra Zone. He sees an ominous shadow man in the distance. So that's pretty cool. Episode 4 begins with the lunar impact on Earth. Whoops, never mind, it's an Apple-style commercial for Friend Industries, where they use the destruction of civilization to make themselves look really cool. In their defense, they did look really cool. Evidently, over the past 15 years, Friend brought humanity back from the brink of destruction, and are now the largest and possibly only employer in the world. They got all sorts of jobs like weapon tester, hydrogenesis research, the Marines, research and development, a repopulation program where for some reason you have to have sex in your friend suit and it kind of looks like you're cosplaying as your own sperm, and the space program. duh. They do a little more propagandizing before we cut to a group of soldiers named the Umbra Corps. That's essentially supposed to be the highest ranking squad. These characters are going to come back a few times in the series. We're introduced to our protagonist for the Umbra Corps arc, who's like half clanker, but it's in the service of humanity, so I'll let it slide. One of the Umbra Corps says he wants to smuggle some moon juice out of the Umbra Zone, cause he says it's pretty valuable. To which the old guy in the squad says, "Nuh-uh, because that's illegal." And then the first guy says, "Fuck you." And then the captain says, "Everyone put their mask on or you'll turn into a moon-fected." Yup, no notes, just best fucking name ever, we're moving on. The guy who wants to steal the moon juice says that no one knows why they turn into a moon-fected, but the reason that Friend puts out changes all the time, and he thinks it's the moon juice. They open the door to the armored van, and immediately a moon-fected comes and jumps on the captain, who says not to shoot, and is immediately shot by the thief, who I guess half followed instructions cause he missed the zombie. Our clanker protagonist, who I guess I'll just call Tin Man, gives the zombie woman an equal left. And then the thief guy says they now don't have to worry anymore before getting sucked into the sky by a giant moon-fected, who then mounts our protagonist, preparing to give him the big suck. Suddenly, they're both distracted by a giant hand that grabbed Jupiter and sucked it through a wormhole. Are you following? No? That's okay, don't worry, this is really convoluted, it'll all make sense in the end. Well, probably not, but I think I found at least like a through line. Episode 5 kicks off on a Friend Industries space station sometime after the moon collided with Earth. This is a Russian station that needs to dock with an American friend ship. Get it? Okay, I'll leave. In the midst of this, a giant hand scoops up Uranus, Saturn, and Jupiter into some strange void. This means for the time being, humanity has a lot less to worry about. But in general, they have a lot more to worry about. These astronauts got a lot to worry about right now, because the American tech got scrambled by the frequency of the giant hands or some shit, and they lost control and slammed into the Russian ship, causing what's known in the aerospace field as a big oopsie. No one on Earth really gave a fuck about those astronauts though, because of the whole giant hand stealing 3 planets thing. Kind of overshadowed it. 150 years later, the world's got futuristic cities and shit. And Friend Industries is like a dystopian world-controlling company almost rivaling the scale of modern-day Amazon. They've even managed to figure out how the giant hands punch holes in space, and meddled with those forces that humanity can totally understand and handle to create warp drives called Friend Gates. Cut to some mad scientist type in a lab, we see the pixelated penis of a guy who then falls out of a cryogenic tube. We're then informed by Mr. Science that moon juice has applications in robot-human augmentation for some reason. And then they slap a robo-arm on Pixel Penis. It's at this point that we learn our boy Tin Man from earlier was a super soldier engineered to take out the giant crater men. Also, Neptune woke up right after because the planetary dumbfuck forgot to set his alarm with the others or something. Episode 6 kicks off 150 years after the disappearance of Earth's cosmic neighbors, who looked like they wanted to eat it. Despite all the odds, humanity has continued to prosper, even finding a solution for the lack of protection from asteroids now that Jupiter's not here to gravitationally fling them into space. Not for the people on this ship. Not that Friend cares. They're all about the big picture, baby. To their credit, they did use advanced moon-cum technology to stabilize Earth's orbit, so one side doesn't freeze and one side doesn't burn like a giant celestial hot pocket. They also use the moon-cum to power everything from electric toothbrushes to other things that vibrate probably to space travel. You may be concerned about entirely depending on a substance we know nothing about and that seems to be greatly correlated with disaster and death. Thankfully, they said their good old friend the moon is providing them with an endless supply. What? You say colliding with Earth and killing billions of people with the initial force of the impact and subsequent monsterification of the species isn't what friends normally do? And we're putting all our eggs in a basket that has been blatantly and unceasingly hostile towards us? You don't sound like you're very good at forgiveness. You're no friend of mine. Not like the moon here. The moon was such a good friend It allowed humans to use its cum to make a big ol' Stargate like we talked about earlier. Hope no giant gray hands warp out of space and fucking grab them like now has proven to consistently happen. Cut to 2 astronauts strapping on, in, to the cockpit of a ship, about to be sent through the portal as guinea pigs. They moon jump through the portal, but the friend gate malfunctions. Everything seems normal on the inside until they see that Neptune has woken up and smashed into the friend gate from the backside and is now chasing them through the wormhole. It eats one of the ships, and the other one escapes to the other side of the wormhole to see what looks like a cross between an octopus, the moon, and a butthole. Gotta say, whatever it is, I think I'm in love. It then gives birth to a living planet, and they all lived happily ever after. At least I think they're smiling. Episode 7 starts out with 2 cave humans hunting a group of mammoths. The blurring is funny on its own. I want to know if he actually modeled it. Anyways, the guy who flashed us gets wrecked, and the other one actually takes the mammoth down. Fucking mad skills, bro. As the final man and mammoth square up, the sky begins to stir. In space, one of those octo-sky anuses from earlier appears in the cosmos and backhands the moon into smithereens like Ike Turner. Then, the caveman got hit by a tidal wave and a meteor, so he went to live on a farm upstate. The octo-sky anus takes this time and poops out an imposter moon, which is evidently the one humanity always knew. Zoom out, and this is happening for every one of the planets other than Earth. Why didn't this happen for you? I don't know. I guess you're just not like the other girls. Or you're ugly, or you smell. Actually, also, you're pretty violent. I think maybe actually lots of reasons. Back on the ship from earlier, one guy comes out from taking a regular dump to ask for an exposition one. The computer says that the octo-sky anus is actually a cephalopodian lunar projector. Sure, buddy, let's see which name catches on. And that it's a Class 0 celestial entity with an unknown origin. One guy says it looks like his great aunt Patricia, and the computer confirms this as scientific fact. Aunt Patricia then promptly grabs Neptune before a giant hand appears out of the ether and takes it out of goddamn existence. The friendship Stargoose 4 follows the giant hand through the portal, and the ship we're currently on follows Patricia wherever the hell she goes on a girl's night out. Patricia is seemingly an independent woman as she poops out a bunch of living moons to eat the ship and stop the pursuit. They somehow survive and end up right next to an alien exoplanet with 2 moons collided into its surface. The plot thickens even more than it thickened the first time when we thickened it. One thick plot. Episode 8 starts with a Secret of the Umbra friend-sponsored television show, before they play an ad for Viagra made out of the same moon juice they power rockets with. A man saw a space shuttle ad and said, "Do that to my penis." Turns out this guy was just watching TV and goofing off at work. An emergency transmission comes on, and one Dr. Chen is freaking out about something being inside, getting past some sort of automated defense net, half the team being dead, saw something like he's never seen, immediate evac, a lot of yapping in my opinion, did not ask how my day was. Then he does a big ol' cliffhanger about like maybe being dead, and we're straight back in Moon City with Robo Hand and his new friends, Girl with Sword Arms, Seemingly Normal Man, Joe Swanson, and Eve from Wall-E. What a squad. They head straight for Umbra Zone 4. And after a quick security check, Joe has a breakdown about how no one's allowed to look at his wheel, and then pulls a gun on Sword Girl, who cuts off his hand, leading to the best voice acting I've ever heard in my entire fucking life.
You Russian friend! You cut off my bloody hand!
Eve tells them both to get over it because it's mission time, and then they head towards the giant ominous door emanating monster groans. They get into the Umbra Zone, and apparently everything in here is moon-fected, so it's all guns blazing. They see 2 survivors, a mother and her son. The mom is feeling sick and starts to spasm and seize. Joe shoots her in the face, saying she was turning, and the son said she just had epilepsy. Whoops. Eve from Wall-E grabs the boy by his scruff like a cat and flies him out of the Umbra Zone, and the soldiers continue on. A large moon-fected then starts chasing the car, before Robo-Boy fires a laser and erases it. Then an even larger moon-fected comes out and does another big ol' cliffhanger. Wow. Part 9 starts with them ignoring the age-old saying,
"You can't just shoot a hole into the surface of Mars."
We then pop right out of a vagina, and we're told we're gonna do great things in the world. We go to an amusement park with our family, but then the amusement park blows up, and then our family blows up, and then our legs blows up. It turns out it's the wheelman's origin, and now I feel bad for him. No leg man tries to sign up for the friend program, and is told he needs legs. Then his mom dies, and then he tries to jump off a bridge and die, but the science man who made Robo-Arm grabs him at the last second and says, "No, wait, there is purpose to life if you let me glue you to a Roomba." And Wheelman was born. Back in action, they're surrounded by Moon Men. Robo-Arm shoots off one of their hands, and they climb onto one of the Moon Titans while Eve from WALL-E lures them towards Dr. Chen's lab. Tin Man blows their ride's head off the second he gets there, falling to the ground, and now they're at the lab, still trailed by Moon Titans. Robo-Arm's cannon seems to have broken upon impact, and Wheelman sacrifices himself to save the crew. Sword Girl and Robo-Boy make it to the lab, where Dr. Chen says this was no random attack. He's uncovered an entire conspiracy. Apparently, anyone exposed to high levels of moon juice is harvested by Friend Industries for something called Project Phobos. There's a reason the entire planet runs on moon juice. It's not just an energy source, it's a fertilizer. After Dr. Chen says this, Eve proves you can never trust a clanker by shooting everyone in the face. Robo-Arm then wakes up on a dolly, and he's being brought into a nightmarish Matrix artificial hell machine. Their blood is a fertilizer, but a fertilizer for what? The frames in the beginning told us all we needed to know. Mars is awake, and humanity has awoken it. Okay, so what does this teach us? New systems that seize power during disasters are as unpredictable and dangerous as the disaster itself. Sign up for the repopulation program early. Don't trust the moon? Let's break down what we know. The Moon Woke Up paints a very different picture of the cosmos than most other sci-fi media, falling firmly in the ground of cosmic horror. This piece is obviously inspired by the classic Junji Ito writing Hellstar Ramina, in which a planet opens up a massive heretofore unknown eye and mouth, heads towards Earth, and begins consuming it bite by bite, to the horror of all its inhabitants. Stories such as this flip the scientific understanding of the cosmos on its head. These unthinking, unfeeling balls of rock, being conscious beings that need to consume, is unthinkable in our current realm of science. So, seeing one open its eyes and act with purpose completely unravels the human understanding of the universe in one fell swoop. No longer are these planets the natural landscape of the mostly barren cosmos, but instead are the inhabitants of its hidden ecosystem. I think I've been able to figure out how this said ecosystem works, so let's break it down. The living celestial bodies are replacements for actual celestial bodies that have been created by the cephalopods. Note that in the two cases with planets that had moons colliding with them, the planets had conscious beings capable of civilization. So this seems important. These giant cephalopod creatures are connected in some way, shape, or form to the hands that warp in and out of our universe intermittently. And I think these big hands are whatever conscious beings have evolved within that hyperdimensional space. They seem to be the most forward-thinking and intentional beings in this whole mess, and they also seem to be purposefully hiding themselves. So whatever's happening here, I'm guessing these beings are the ones putting it in motion. Using Earth as an example, the moon was replaced during a time when humanity was first developing a civilization, and then it did nothing for eons. It wasn't until 1 month after the moon landing that it woke up. This means that the catalyst for all of these planets waking up could be humanity first touching down on the moon. Whatever these beings are, they set the moon up as a trap for when we could finally reach it. The moon juice is likely an excretion created by the planetary creatures that operates as their lifeblood and assists in terraforming other celestial bodies and changing the beings on them to suit their needs. It stands to reason that with the moon attached to the Earth, Earth will begin to undergo the same transformation. We can see this working in the aftermath of what Friend seems to be doing with the farmed moon juice. The corporation is feeding people moon juice in order to use their bodies to grow more of it. After increasing their stores of moon juice using people's blood as a growth vector, they were eventually able to get enough moon juice to wake up Mars. These conscious giant hands we talked about earlier, I don't know if they'll be happy about that. This all leaves a few questions. What is the main purpose of the giant hands in doing all this? What is the end goal of Friend in waking up Mars? Does the moon crashing to Earth mean I don't gotta pay taxes? I don't think I have enough info to get any of this right, but I'll make a guess. 1, I believe the giant hands are in some way farming or guiding consciousness or sentient intelligent beings. How or why, I don't know, but this would make sense for why they replace celestial bodies around planets with intelligent life with their own strange living versions. 2, I think Friend is meddling in forces it doesn't understand, fueled by the ultimate human litmus test: horniness, greed. What Friend is doing is happening on a generational scale, and therefore I think any one human's goal would get lost in the tides of human nature. And 3, I think we just pay them to Friend now. While the series is labeled a cosmic horror, I feel like it's a horror piece in the same way that a lot of my favorite media is. It isn't. It's a comedy piece wearing the skin of a horror. It uses the tropes, ideas, and themes of the horror genre and extrudes them through a comedy setting. Pieces like Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, The Cabin in the Woods, Renfield, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, hell, even my stuff, As Fucking Outsider Trading, follow the same format. And it's honestly one of my favorite genres. The tone is very tongue-in-cheek, definitely leans more to the comedy end of the horror comedy spectrum. I think this is the only way to go for a piece like this. The threat was kind of the maximum a human could be afraid of something in the first episode, so while the escalations are interesting for world building and sci-fi, I wouldn't call them super scary. It's like that meme where you're on a plane and then there's like a skeleton destroying New York City and the caption's like, "What you doing in this situation?" I mean, I guess dying by skeleton, bro. The difference between any old horror comedy piece and a good one is that any horror comedy can just take horror settings and ideas and express comedy through them. A great horror comedy takes the very thing that the horror audience finds scary and flips it on its head, to show how, in a different setting, it's kinda ridiculous. One core idea of cosmic horror is that humans are irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, because of a short lifespan and small cosmic reach. By the time anything relevant happens on a cosmic scale, your great-great-great-grandson will have no idea that he's 3.125% your sperm. We are helpless to the whims of the cosmos, and cosmic horror fears that. The Moon Woke Up takes this idea and runs with it. Half the time we see the hands, a human is on screen saying how they thought their grandfather was just full of shit, and they're shocked that there's actually a giant hand. This is just one example of how The Moon Woke Up does some great, good, spooky ha-has. I've seen some reviews of The Moon Woke Up that say they don't really find it all that scary, alternatively a little cheesy. Opinions aside, to the people who say it's to the detriment of the series, I think you're kind of a hater. If you're watching this and complaining about not being scared, you've missed that you're not the target audience. The media relishes in its own horror comedy camp, and I quite love that. No one here was really trying to scare you. Entertainment is filled with nebulous gray areas, and most of the enjoyment I got from this series was laughter and my interest in the sci-fi and cosmic horror concepts. The first one, the concept of the moon waking up, is really alien and spooky. Past that, fear opened the door, but the comedy walked through. I really enjoyed The Moon Woke Up. I give it 4 ominous, threatening, smiling moons out of 5 ominous, threatening, smiling moons. Anyways, if you like this video, make sure to check out the original series. Also, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with all notifications enabled. If you like my work, please support the Patreon. Special thanks to my Patreon and YouTube members. Okay, bye.